There is a supernatural world that surrounds us, and sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. You'll hear stories about this and so much more right here on Supernatural Confrontations. The supernatural world is real, and we have had stories like this before on the show where people have encountered what I can only call entities. They don't belong here, and yet they're integrating with us. They are interfacing with us. They are, in fact, in the words of Dr. David Jacobs, walking amongst us. Barbara has such an encounter. You'll hear about this. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor, Noble Gold. We are at war and we are in a recession. Two things the government doesn't want you to know, but it's only a matter of time until cracks start to show. And do you know who will get hit the most? Most likely you and me. That's why you need to protect yourself and your family, because things will only get worse. Fortunately, Noble Gold Investments is here to help you. You've worked too hard to build up your savings and investments to see it all crushed to bits. And the financial fallout from the wars, the trade tariffs, and the sanctions that are bound to happen. Gold and silver from Noble Gold Investments are real possessions in times like these. Knowing that you're outside the system when it all goes wrong is a great feeling. And a surefire way to keep your money safe for your retirement is a precious metals IRA. Noble Gold Investments has been helping people like you and me to keep their money safe for years with these. And this month, they're giving away a beautiful gold eagle bullion coin with every qualifying IRA or $50,000 or higher. Folks, make sure you don't get trampled. I know we've invested in Noble Gold, and gold is on the rise. Even though it went down a little bit, it's going back up. Folks, visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. So here's my interview with Barbara. I think you'll find it absolutely fascinating. I know I did. So I'm here once again with Barbara Cloudwalking, and we did a slight interview before we even turned on the recorder here on Zoom. And you were telling me how you got your name. And I think it's an interesting story before we jump into, a First Nation perspective of the mounds, the mound builders, some of these ancient sites, so-called ancient sites. Tell us how you got your name, Barbara Cloudwalking. What a beautiful name.
Thank you. My family name is Hanks, and my mother told me the story that at the time I was born, they were living in El Reno, or they were living near El Reno, Oklahoma, in Geary, actually. My father worked with the family farm, and when she went into labor, she got a friend to take her into El Reno, and she tells me that during their travel, there was a tornado on the ground on the north side of the highway, and two on the south side, bouncing in and out of the clouds, and that they escorted us all the way to El Reno and lifted off. She said that was the most terrifying experience she ever had. But that's where the name Cloud Walking came from.
Incredible. So we were talking about some of these ancient sites all through the Americas, the mounds, the Nephilim, the cannibalistic, six-fingered, red-haired giants that were coast to coast, essentially, and many of the tribes fought them. We know that the Allegheny fought them, according to Chief Joseph Riverwind, and he said that they teamed up. I forget the other name of the tribe, but they teamed up and they fought them, and there was an alliance, and they defeated the giants. We also know from Sarah Winnemucca out in the cave, they cornered the giant.
Paiutes.
Yeah, the Paiutes. The Paiutes did that. I mean, it's not mythos. It's not just a colorful story. These are oral traditions. Speak to that, please.
Well, I believe that the history's been deliberately obfuscated. the the stories are there, and they're being told, but they're not being taught anywhere. The Grand Canyon's here. There was the place that Mr. Kincaid was his name, I
Yes.
believe.
Yes.
Well, the government came in quickly and made sure that if anything of interest was taken into custody, the same with Catalina Island, and the bones were found there. You had an experience with that yourself, I believe,
Yes, I did. Yeah.
with photograph.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, we're deliberately deceived on these things.
Do you think, in your opinion, when you look at Cahokia, with the largest mountain in North America, I mean, I've been there once and I'll be heading back to there in April, and I can't wait to see it again. Um, you look at something like Fort Ancient in Ohio or the Serpent Mound, and I maintain that, or the Octagon Mound, where you see this advanced geometry, advanced trigonometry.
Yes.
And with all due respect to Native people, they didn't travel in that. It's not, Europeans didn't have trigonometry, for a while, and then it got to them. So it's not, we're not disparaging First Nation or Native people at all.
Oh,
but
no.
if they
No.
don't have geometry, then they don't have geometry. It's like, I'm Italian. So the Italians did not invent the automobile. They just didn't do it. The automobile came from, or the Wright brothers. The Italians had nothing to do with, the flight of the airplane. That doesn't mean that Italians are any less. It just means that somebody else invented it and then disseminated that. So when I hear like the Octagon Mound built on a 18 and a half year lunar cycle and the advanced geometry and mathematics, what say you to that? What's your take on all this?
Well, my belief, let me state that I'm Christian. So I need to read the Bible more than I do, but, I've studied.
We all.
And to look at the structures that are here and around the world, the precision and the sheer size. Okay, humanity, especially in Bronze Age, had no reason to build such a thing. It's my belief, and the Bible doesn't really speak to it in great detail, but it's my belief that these structures were built by the Nephilim and the fallen ones in the antediluvian period. If you ask natives, well, did you guys build the mounds? No, we didn't do that. That was not, that's not our technology.
Because I've heard, let's say from, and this is in the historical record, when the first white settlers came into Ohio and they discovered the Circle Mound, the Octagon Mound, the Serpent Mound. Did you build this? And natives said, no, it was here when we got here. We hear the same thing down in South America when the conquistadors came into Cusco, which is now Cusco, and the Inca were there, and they said, who built this? And the Inca said, we don't know. It was here when we got here. So we hear this over and over again.
You said when we got here, and there's we're taught that my ancestors came across the Bering Strait. I don't believe that, and our legends across the board, pretty much from tribe to tribe, state that we were always here. Okay, from a biblical perspective, I believe that during the time of Babel, when God came down and separated everyone for the orneriness that they were getting up to, who, by the way, that leader was trying to revive the alien technology in the ways, the fallen technology. I believe that we were, just like everyone else, placed in our corner of the world. Like you stated, maybe it was one continent, I don't know. But we've always been in this land in the same way that others have been in their lands.
And this speaks to, in Genesis, it talks about in the days of Peleg, the earth was divided. And that gets into the whole idea of Pangea, where all the continents were one. And I mean, geologists look at this and say, well, that's an impossibility. These things can never happen. But, the God of the Bible who speaks everything into existence, Jesus speaking everything into existence, you know what? If he wants to move a continent from here to here, guess what? He's going to do that without any problem. And so,
well, not only that, but the languages will change too.
Yeah, exactly. How does that work?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
mysterious. What do you know about um, the giants that were all through the Americas? What have you heard?
Uh, I know that they were here, and evidence of that has been found. But that evidence is obfuscated quickly, hidden. Why a power that is would not want us to know this, but
Mm,
they've gone so far out of their way to obscure that. However, people talk and they tell their stories. I know that the red-haired giants of the Paiutes. There's a story about Chaco Canyon that just chills me. Um, and I don't mean to speak out of school, but this is how I was told that these people were doing ceremonies and opened the portal, and giants came through. And according to other traditions, these giants, they were to be fed. They were the children of the fallen ones. They were to
mhm.
be taken care of. Well, we work hard to feed ourselves, and there's only so much game or natural resource in an area. And when that runs out, the legends have it that we became the food source.
What's interesting, there was a film that I saw a while back, and this was recorded 20 or 30 years ago. There was an anthropologist who was on the site of Chaco Canyon, and it was very controversial because people don't want to hear this. They
Right.
they found evidence of cannibalism. They found evidence of cannibalism, and I know that some natives have said this sort of like in a veiled way. They'll say something very dark happened there, something very evil, and that's why it was abandoned. But I agree with you because we see this sign. Let me just get it real quick here. We see the sign everywhere.
The spiral.
Yeah, the
Yes.
spiral, which to me denotes the gateway, the portal that's being opened. And what's interesting too is the kivas look almost exactly like and I'll send you a picture. If just go to Corral, Peru, Carral, Corral, Peru, Carral, Corral, Peru. It's the oldest city in the Americas. Nobody knows who built this thing. There is, and they won't let you get near it. They won't let you get
Mm,
near it. But there's a key
that's telling.
that's very telling. You can't go photograph it. Gee, I wonder why. It's a kiva. It's all underground. It looks almost exactly like the kivas in Chaco Canyon, almost exactly like the kivas. So we've got, and the same thing. The site is just abandoned, and there's step pyramids. There's no pre-existing culture. I mean, it's so enigmatic. It's mind-boggling. But circling back to Chaco, there's evidence of cannibalism that was there, and then from there we go to America Stonehenge. We're actually doing some testing on this. There were
Yes.
bones that were found on the site at America Stonehenge, which bore, and they look human bones. They were scraped. There's knife
Mm,
cuttings. That,
cannibalistic trace.
that's a sure
Well, we
sign.
weren't eating each other.
Oh,
That's
you
strictly
weren't.
taboo
No,
across the
no.
board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you weren't
Native
doing that,
Americans were
but
not
the
eating each
giants were.
other.
So let me just ask
Yeah.
you this: would you say, is it safe to say that you weren't, but the giants were?
That's my belief, and I believe that to be pretty much a across the board understanding that's really not spoken of. You know, and things are coming out now more, and more people of Native ancestry are more willing to share certain things. You know,
Are you
the
familiar with
belief
Robert Mirabal? Robert Mirabal.
his name is familiar.
I was able to
Name is
interview
familiar.
him. Yeah, I was able to interview him, and he talks about, they say a long time ago giants roamed the earth and fell in love with the daughters of men. I mean, it's Genesis 6.
The Bible told us that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I asked him, Robert, where did you hear this? He said, my grandfather. Where did he hear it? His grandfather. And back and back and back it goes. And if you go on YouTube and Google Robert Mirabal Stiltwalker, it'll blow your mind. There it is.
I believe I've heard him speak before, and that's why the name is familiar.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing that I've been curious about. Maybe you have some insight on this. It's becoming common knowledge that the ancestral greeting is to hold a hand up on approach, finger count. You know, do you have 5? Do you have 6?
To make sure we didn't get one of these in there.
Yes. Okay. You know, that's
yeah,
mark of Nephilim heritage. What I'm curious about is if a giant approached your community or a group of giants, that would be readily obvious. Okay. And if you've already been hunted by them, you would not need any further, impetuous to go hide. I wonder though, are there ones of size and I guess common human appearance that would be a necessary thing to raise your hand?
I mean, I asked Chief Joseph that, and he basically said, yeah, that's what we used to do. The tribes would do that just to make sure there was no 6th finger.
That would imply that there were ones who could blend a lot easier.
Yeah, well, that's the deal.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming on the record. It's just great to have someone who's First Nation that can validate not only my work, but the oral tradition of not only your people, but all the tribes from coast to coast. I'll give you the last word, Barbara, and thank you again.
Well, I thank you for providing this platform. I've been a student of unusual things or just curious for a lifetime, and things are congealing so quickly now. Events. I'm glad that you provide an opportunity for people to at least follow their curiosity and try to learn what's not being told us. Are you familiar with David Paulides?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, very much so.
There's a story there.
Oh, yeah.
And I hope to see that research follow through. I would like to see people put pressure on the entities in our own government that have the answers to come clean with us. They say we don't want to panic the public, but we're not stupid. We have our own intelligence. What's in it for them to hide? What's their motive? And I don't think it's healthy for us or the people of America or anywhere else. So I'm glad that you guys are out there and that you're asking the questions and you're doing the homework. We need that, not just as a culture, but as a species.
Amen. Amen to that. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it, Barbara. God bless you. So, folks, you know what? It just amazes me how people come on the show. They've had an encounter, and it mirrors other encounters that we've heard from other people in other parts of the world who have encounters with entities, with hybrids, with humanoid-looking people. And you know what, folks? It's not going to go away. We are ramping up to something. The veil is thinning, in my opinion. Anyway, tomorrow I'm on a plane. Actually, when you're watching this today, it was a pre-record, so I'm on a plane headed to the Orlando conference. Don't forget that you can live stream it. I'll be speaking on Saturday and, of course, Sunday morning. Hope to see you there. Can't wait to get there. It's the gathering of our tribe. Don't forget our Israel trip coming up in October. Plenty of room on the buses. Check it out by going to lamarzulli.net. Please keep Ron in your prayer. Also, I'm just going to leave it at Joe. Joe has bone cancer and is basically on his deathbed. We're hoping for a miracle, as with Ron. Let me pray before I let you go. Father, the supernatural world is real, and yet greater are you that resides in us than he that is in the world. I pray, Father, that you would protect us, that you'd watch over us, that you'd surround us with your heavenly angels, Lord. Father, we thank you for all your goodness, all your blessings, and pray your blessing over these people. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he shine his face upon you and give you peace. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below. Hope to see you in Orlando. If not, maybe further down the road on the trail. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow Actually, I'll be back Monday with another supernatural confrontation.